Welcome back, everyone, to Monday Night Racing. This is the Season 6 playoffs being broadcast on Twitch, on Podium Esports Twitch channel, as well as my YouTube channel. We're back. The last time Monday Night Racing streamed here on my YouTube channel, it was Presley Sora clinching the Season 5 championship in spectacular maybe seems like too small a word to use to describe that live event. It's great to see you all again. It's great to be a part of Monday Night Racing once more. I'm still trying to get used to this new studio setup. I've just now gotten moved in a little bit. I have the microphone, if you guys are watching, hanging from above. Never been that guy before. I've always been a below microphone guy. I'm not sure I'm loving the above mic. We're trying to get used to it slowly but surely, but I appreciate all of you guys tuning in wherever you may be watching from. You're in for a fantastic show here tonight as the Season 6 playoffs are set to kick off from the virtual Richmond Raceway. Now, we'll bring in the broadcast booth in just a few moments, but before we do that, I think we should just kick this off by talking to not only one of the, administrators of the league, but also one of your playoff drivers. I believe we have Matt Stolnick on standby here. Matt, first off, can you hear me, buddy?
Yeah, I got you guys. How you doing?
Hey, it's great to have you on the pre-race show. And first off, I have to thank you for inviting me back for the Monday Night Racing Season 6 playoffs. It's a pleasure to be helping broadcast this show once again.
Yeah, no, of course, man. Your audience brings us, a ton of viewers, to the show, and we're really appreciative of that. And more importantly, every time you've come on the broadcast, you've brought a lot to it. So I think it was a no-brainer, and we're glad to have you back.
Well, I'm glad I didn't scare you all away the first time. That I was just talking about the Season 5 finale, the last time Monday Night Racing streamed on this channel, and how insane that finish was. But now it's Season 6. It's the playoffs. And, Matt, you're in them once again. What do you expect tonight beginning at Richmond?
Yeah, so obviously a lot of changes going into the playoffs tonight that I think especially the playoff guys are all very cognizant of, and the biggest one being no fast repairs. So we're really doing a trial by fire tonight with no fast repairs on a short track. So should be exciting. I think it's going to be very much a race of survival. I would definitely expect a lot of cautions early. We're gonna have a really big field tonight. This is probably one of the biggest fields we've ever had for a short track race. With close to 40 drivers. To me, it's going to be entirely about keeping your car clean and doing everything you can to just stay out of trouble, because I think that's going to be the biggest factor as we kind of adjust to this world with no fast repairs.
Yeah, well, easier said than done. 40 cars, 40 drivers, short track, no fast repairs. Is this the first time Monday Night Racing has tried the no fast repair style?
It is.
Oh boy. It's a historic night.
This is a historic night, so let's hope it's history for the right reasons. But no, I think it's long overdue. So I think we're ready for this as a league, and I think it's going to have an effect of making the races cleaner in the long term. We'll see what it does tonight. I wouldn't kind of react one way or the other, depending on what it does, but the reality is I think there's not going to be a ton of guys left over at the finish of this thing with clean race cars. So, and I think that would be the case regardless of if we have fast repairs, just due to the nature of short track racing. So we'll see what we can do as far as the playoffs go. I feel like I have decent speed, but survival is the number one thing on my mind right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle, an attrition battle for sure. Well, Matt, best of luck to you tonight. We'll all be watching. Good luck the rest of the way here in these Season 6 playoffs.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome stuff. Great to talk to one of our playoff contenders here right at the get-go, right here at the top of the show. Qualifying is around the corner, and the goal is to go green just a little past the top of the hour. So I don't want to spend too much more time here just focused on me. I'd like to bring in the talented trio that's going to be calling the majority of tonight's action: Blake McCandless, Jacob Hitz, and Kenneth Bueno. Gentlemen, Blake, I'll send it up over to you.
Thank you very much, Eric, and welcome everybody else into what has been an incredible season so far. And we're looking forward to yet again another playoff run here of Season 6 in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, and Jacob Hitz on the call with you tonight. And Kenneth, this is the playoffs. It's getting real, and if we're being honest, we heard Matt allude to it a little bit in his interview. This is going to be a tough one tonight for these drivers. It's going to be very challenging.
it is going to be tough because it is a short track. We've got the super late models, which is a pretty intense car to drive behind the wheel, and you've got just all the nerves. The first time you're in the playoffs for this season, a lot of guys in it for the first time ever in their MNR careers, a lot of guys coming back, but that feeling always remains the same. And coming off the next gen to Talladega just 1 week ago, you had that chaos at an all-time high. I figure tonight it's going to be even higher just because the pressure's on. A lot of it's going to be about setting your foot in the right place, the right direction for this race, making sure you don't step yourself into a hole already in this first round. So this, Blake, going to be an unbelievable challenge for these guys, and it's going to be a huge first test as to who you might see be a favorite for this year's title.
I think so too, Kenneth. And one thing in particular, Jacob, that I think is kind of something that I think we're going to be talking about a lot tonight is the fact that there's been a rule change, and even Matt said it in his interview, no fast repairs tonight. That has been an M&R staple for a long time. We're now in Season 6. It's the first time that we're not having fast repairs, and at a short track, it's going to be important that you take care of your car.
The safety net that the drivers had coming into the playoffs is now gone. After last week at Talladega, officials decided that, yeah, it's time to just get rid of it entirely, and that's that. We'll see how this shakes up. The playoffs. I talked with a couple of drivers about that earlier today. Presley Sora and David Schildhouse among them, and Presley said, it concerns me a little bit, not because I'm worried about making a mistake. I'm worried about the other guys on the racetrack. And David Schildhouse kind of alluded to that same deal. And that's going to be the name of the game throughout the rest of the season. As we go on through the rest of the schedule, it's going to be the drivers around you that are going to have more of an impact on your race than perhaps you yourself. It'll be really interesting to see, especially how these playoff guys manage to get through the ladder and get to the Final Four when we go to Homestead, and see how they make it through without that fast repair, because from this point on, you break it, you're stuck with it the rest of the night.
Well, and Kenneth, I'll kind of throw it back to you because this is something that, how does this change your approach? Because I know a lot of drivers, they've kind of raced with this in their back pocket. They're used to the strategy. They're used to having that mulligan available for them. How does this change that mentality in approaching a race like this? 150 laps of Richmond is a long way to go when you have to take care of your car the whole time and you're not used to it.
Well, even if you're the most aggressive driver in the field, Blake, you're going to have to adjust to being a conservative driver, and you're going to have to somewhat tippy-toe your way around this Richmond Raceway, specifically with this combo, and it is going to change the mentality greatly, because when you had the fast repair, most notably in last season's playoffs, you can race as hard as you want. You can race without anything to lose, and you'd be like, all right, if I crash, sure, I've got this thing in my back pocket. I'll be fine. Now, it's really going to be dire for those drivers who do get in trouble without that fast repair, because their races are over. They don't have a chance to just recoup, get back on track, and that will mean a lot of lost points. So regardless of who you are in this field, regardless of what style you drive with or you're used to driving with in this series, as a competitor, you're really going to have to change things. You're really going to have to be careful. And I can imagine first couple of laps here tonight at Richmond, these drivers are just going to be tippy-toeing, going to be very careful, going to make sure they don't want to trash their car in the opening half at least.
I definitely think it'll change their approach, to say the very least. But when we talk about playoffs, guys, we are back here for the M&R playoffs. And if you look at the playoff bracket, a lot of familiar names that have been returning over the last couple of seasons, Jacob, some familiar foes going at it once again for the championship, and even some new names that we thought coming in would be a big factor, names like Corey Heim, Chase Cabry, that have solidified themselves in M&R here in Season 6.
And you have to remember, Blake, as well, we had 13 drivers in the playoffs a season ago. This time around, it's only 12. We still took 7 guys that were in the playoffs last year that are back this year. Only 5 different drivers in the playoffs this time. 4 of them for the first time ever. Garrett Smithley, the only returning playoff driver that wasn't in it a season ago. So there's a lot of consistency, really, but some of the names up at the top you look at, behind the top 3 of Cabot, Sora, and Schildhouse, Joey Padgett, Corey Heim, Chase Cabry, Leighton Sabile. Those are your 4 that have never been in the playoffs before. Really, 3 of them making their first full season. Sabile, the only one, I don't believe, who has already made a relatively good amount of starts to not count as a rookie. The other 3, though, Heim, yeah, he won a couple of races last year. We knew he was going to be fast, but Cabry and Padgett have been consistent and consistently fast. Cabry winning back at Twing Ring Motegi, Paget hasn't gone to victory lane yet, but it's his birthday today, and I think he's going to try and put that thing in victory lane tonight. We'll have to see.
Well, happy birthday indeed. We'll see if he can get it done tonight and try to get his way into victory lane. Again, 3 races in the round of 12. You see 2 for the round of 8. And, of course, our championship round at Homestead Miami Speedway, a fantastic track that, if you remember, just a season ago put on a wild finish to end Season 5. And it should be another good one tonight. But, fellas, this is my favorite part of the broadcast. It hasn't gone so well for me the last couple of weeks, but we're going to look at our picks to win here. And we finally get to have Eric on the show to kind of go over these picks. So, Eric, when we bring you in, we'll look at the picks. We'll allow you to explain yourself first, but we're going to take a look. I know who I'm going with tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and that is going to be a non-playoff driver tonight in Rajah Caruth. I think this short track, this fits his style. We haven't seen him all the time here in Monday Night Racing in Season 6, but I think he gets it done tonight. Eric, I'll let you state your case about Presley Sora.
Well, I mentioned him at the very top of the show, but last time we streamed Monday Night Racing on my channel, we had Presley Sora going to victory lane. I just loved his confidence all throughout last year's playoffs. I must admit, I don't know his history in driving super late models or at Richmond in particular, but I saw plenty of great things from him last season. So I'm thinking that carries over here into Season 6.
And by the way, Presley Sora, after he won Season 5, went and tested a late model for the first time. Never been in a real-life race car. He went and tested a late model just a couple of days after winning Season 5. So maybe that works here tonight at Richmond. Jacob, I'll throw it to you with Corey Heim, your NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series driver.
Yeah, I really wasn't sure who to pick. Obviously, since we're in the playoffs, the floodgates have opened. We could pick pretty much whoever we wanted. Doesn't matter that we picked them in the regular season. Running down through the list, as soon as I got into practice, I was like, all right, we'll go with the guy that's on the top of the charts. It's Corey Heim. It's like, yeah, that sounds good. He looked fast in the practice race last night. Checked out a little bit of that just to see how the drivers would react, since this is the first time this track combo is happening on MNR and just the second time we've visited Richmond ever. So I thought, yeah, let's see what happens. Heim looked fast last night. He's fast so far tonight. Give me the 51.
Corey Heim with Jacob Hitz, and I was going to keep my eye on Kenneth because we're kind of battling for last year when it comes to the picks, but you're going with Ryan Vargas tonight.
You know, I hope, Blake, that we can try to, band together and try to beat Jacob at the end of the season, because he's running away with the lead right now.
Got a long ways to go.
Yeah, a long ways to go, but still, a lot of races left. But I'm going to go with Ryan Vargas. Over the past 8 races that we've seen the super late model here in MNR, there's been 8 different winners, so it's hard to really pinpoint an actual trend of a driver who's been really good at this type of car. But think about the last time Ryan Vargas went to victory lane. It was a while back, but it was with the super late models at Nashville Super Speedway in clutch fashion. So I'm just going to go here and put my money on Ryan Vargas in the 26. He's been relatively fast in practice. He's actually 3rd on the charts right now. So I think I've got faith in the La Mirada, California native to take another victory in his MNR career, lock himself into the next round.
So there you have it, your 4 picks to try and go to victory lane tonight in the Emergent VR Encounter 150 at Richmond Raceway. Well, on the other side of this break, we'll get things going for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. It's the Season 6 playoffs up next.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're going to run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate batteries. Outrageously dependable.
visit our website at toughgoflooring.com.
Get the edge on your competition with P8 Performance Gummies. Formulated specifically for gamers and the esports industry, we packed our gummies with all the good stuff, including ingredients that are clinically proven to help tired eyes, improve reaction times, and help suppress computer vision syndrome. Take your focus and endurance to the next level and try P8 Gummies today. Now available at Procelerate.com. Plus, if you're mad about gaming, we're looking to partner with influencers just like you. Drop us a line at support at Procelerate.com to see if you qualify to try our gummies for free. It's officially game on with all new P8 gummies.
And welcome back to Podium Esports coverage of the first playoff race for Season 6 in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries as we get set to go for 150 laps from the Richmond Raceway tonight in the Emergent VR Encounter 150. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, Jacob Hitz, and Eric Estep on the call with you tonight. And, well, Eric, why don't you go ahead and show us where we'll be running tonight and everything about this Richmond Raceway.
Richmond Raceway. Who doesn't love a good short track? It's a 3/4 mile short track, a little longer than most of the other short ovals on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. It's 4 turns, of course, 14 degrees of banking in those corners. Pit road speed is 40 miles per hour. Going to be a great race tonight on this old asphalt surface. Good. Kenneth, we'll go to you with a race analysis as the cars are warming up behind me.
Indeed, with this Richmond Raceway on tap, we go for 200 laps, or rather 150 laps here from Richmond, Virginia, just over 112 miles, 181.5 kilometers. The biggest thing, though, to note in this entire race analysis sheet on the bottom right of your screen, no faster pairs. There's not going to be that safety net for the drivers anymore. We've got 4 sets of tires on pit road, 75% on the fuel load, so we may see some strategy if we get into a long green flag run, and we do have those 3 attempts at a green, white, checkered, and overtime to end this race, Blake, that is, if needed.
Certainly so, Kenneth. And before we get things fired up under the lights, let's take pause and reflect with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land and of the free and the home of
Qualifying has concluded at Richmond Raceway tonight. Why don't we take a look at the BST Shock starting grid for the opening race of Season 6 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. 21.636 is the quick time for your Roasted Gems Coffee Pole Award winner in Chase Cabry. Anthony Alfredo, who has had a number of internet issues over the course of basically the last month, it relegated him out of the playoffs, but he will start second tonight. Third third will go Ryan Vargas, and Raja Caruth will start in fourth in row number 2. It'll be Presley Sora in row number 3, tying the qualifying time with Nick Olson, who will go from 6th. Adam Kybett will start in the 7th position tonight with Gary Sexton to his outside. The number 13 will roll off in the 8th position. Alex LeBay will start 9th. Bailey Turner-Jacob will round out your top 10.
Starting in position number 11 is DJ Cummings. Reed Wilson lines up to his outside in 12th. Garrett Smithley and Joey Padgett, 2 playoff drivers, in 13th and 14th. They make up row number 7. Will Rogers was so close to making the playoffs after Talladega, couldn't quite do it. He lines up 15th. Colin Fern, who's in the playoffs for the second year, lines up in 16th. The winner, back at CTMP, Sage Karam in 17th. Max Kennan, he was in the playoffs last year, not so much this year. He rolls off 18th. Former champion Robbie Lyons starts from 19th, and Ford Martin, who's at a different location tonight than usual, not at his home rig, he rounds out the top 20, Kenneth.
Rookie Connor Berry in the 02 rolls off 21st. George Valfans Jr. will be on his outside in row number 11. Matt Stolnick in the 41, the driver we talked to on the pre-race show, he's 23rd to start. Ronnie Osmer will be to his outside in the 55. P24. Jordan Buster in the 47 will round out your top 25. He's joined alongside by Stephen Ellis in the number 46 in row number 13. Josh Slate and playoff driver Lane Sabile start 27th and 28th. A lot of work for the Hog Tamers, number 25 in Sabile, who locked in from last week's race at Talladega. Justin Malillo starts inside the top 29, and Corey Heim looks like he might have messed up the second qualifying lap. He's going to have to start deep in the field from P30. Case Colomback starts 31st. Brandon Brown will follow alongside in 32nd. Michael Massey will be 33rd. David Schildhouse did not set a qualifying time. I believe might have messed up on both of the laps. He rolls off in 34th. Then it'll be 35th for Seth Eggert in the number 57. Brett Baldeck, Chris Weaver, and the number 11, Blake McCandless of Steve Afont, will round out your 38 car field from Richmond.
So 38 cars ready to contest this one tonight. As you can look at the weather, we've been in nighttime skies during practice, but with the capabilities of iRacing, we are just now at sunset and what would be 7:47 in sim time at the moment. So that sun that sets behind turns number 3 and 4 here at Richmond will continue to go down, cool this track off, and eventually put us in darkness. If you look at the left-hand side of your screen, you can see our grid rival featured matchups tonight, as they will cycle through the head-to-head matchups that you could have here with Monday Night Racing tonight. Again, we are proud to be a supporter and partner with Grid Rival, the most in-depth fantasy motorsports manager game on the planet. Not real odds that you can place in a bet, but if you do like betting on these races, or you do like betting in real life with some races, of course, you can go to our friends at Grid Rival, see their odds, and play it if you're in the App Store or on Google Play. If you're on an Android phone, you can look up and see the favorites here for this race tonight for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a build-up up to this point of the playoffs, and I'm at you, Kenneth, but just ready to throw the green flag on this and see how this race is going to play out.
Well, yeah, we can't wait. And as the sun sets here over Richmond Raceway, you can tell a lot of anticipation, a lot of anxiety in us with a lot of questions. We'd like to see exactly who's going to be the favorites, how are we going to settle the playoff field after tonight's race from Richmond, and how chaotic things are going to get to be. It's a long race, a lot of these cars without fast repairs. We'll see how it goes.
Pace truck going to dive to the safety of pit lane. Field will be in the hands of Chase Cabry and Anthony Alfredo. Stack up on the outside lane there from Anthony Alfredo, but these loud super late models will fire to life, and we are green here at Richmond. The complete lap number 1, we initially heard that Anthony Alfredo was assessed a black flag on the restart. However, that was cleared, but Alfredo, not a great start regardless, Kenneth, but he'll line up in line in 4th.
Drop back and forth, one car around. That is the 41. Matt Stolnick sideways at the exit of turn 2. and I believe he's going to be the only car involved in it, so we'll stay green. We'll see if he might have had some help on the way outside of the corner. I think just grabbed the apron, went around all by himself, so a caution does not come out, but early trouble for Stolnek, one of the playoff drivers in our field tonight.
Well, in early trouble for another playoff driver, Jacob. David Schildhaus, there's a rule that you have to try and put down a qualifying lap. He did it. He started from the pits tonight.
Well, okay, so here's the deal with Schildhaus. We talked before the drop of the green flag, a little earlier than that, but around 6 o'clock or so, and in talking, he came up with the idea that, hey, I'm going to start from the pit lane. I don't know if it was his idea, as it sounds like we've got trouble on the racetrack. Maybe I heard Garrett Smithley come over the radio and say something. It looks like we're good for now, but as for Schildhaus, he told me, look, I'm going to start from the pit lane, we'll get an early caution, and I'll be okay. The problem is he didn't get that early caution. So he's a lap down, and then when he came onto the racetrack, there was a car spinning in front of him that I think he may have missed. It was tough to tell, but already a not-so-good start for Schildhaus, but he said over the radio, not that big of a deal. We're going to get cautions. We'll get back onto the lead lap. Some trouble for some other guys, though, in the meantime. Will Rogers and Ford Martin, 2 wrecks for the price of 1 in the same corner, ending lap number 1 as you ride on board with Schildhaus back in the 38th position. The only guy right now, 1 lap down, Blake.
Yeah, so he would be in the lucky dog position, but it's definitely going to be an uphill climb for David Schildhaus, who I think was kind of resorted to the fact that this could be a race of attrition, at least early on. The practice race that they generally hold on Sunday nights went for 75 laps, and it was difficult for some of these drivers to try and get everything going. There you can see Ford Martin right now. He runs in 37th, but he is running in a very special rig tonight. You could see a whole setup. He's even got a little bit of help with him, and he's in one of those motion simulators, Kenneth. That, and I've tried it out at the NASCAR Hall of Fame when they had the Coke Series Championship there. A very cool experience, but as you can see, I think Ford's struggling with it a little bit as he's running back here in the pack.
Take him a little to get used to. I mean, we've talked about it before. If you race on other rigs, whether it's somebody you know, or let's say, you know, you're not available to be at your rig, but you can at somebody else's or what may have you, it takes a little while to get adjusted to that new environment, get a feel for how the race car feels with that rig. And so for Martin, I just believe it's just him trying to get this jitters out, trying to feel the car, feel it out over the first 9 laps. It's still early, so a lot of time to be able to really assess what's going on behind the wheel there. So Ford, we'll see exactly how much progress he can make, but some progress early on for Presley Sora, your defending series champion, coming into this plate with a lot of pressure beneath his shoulders. Of course, the rookie driver that came into season 5 with blistering pace, won 2 races, went all the way for the championship at Homestead, and now trying to defend it all. And some progress here potentially on Ryan Vargas. Had the hand up just about a lap ago, but it looks like he's going to stay single file, and top 3, Blake, have broken away from the rest of the pack.
They really have, Eric. Your pick riding solid right now in the 3rd position in that Shaq I-Gear Chevrolet. Moved up a couple of spots since the drop of the green flag, and right now trying to apply some pressure to Ryan Vargas directly in front of him.
Yeah, I like what I see right now. He's putting a lot of pressure on that 26 car. You guys may know better than I do. Right now, everyone's sort of riding around the bottom lane. Do you think there'll come a point as these runs go longer, perhaps, that we see the middle or even upper groups start to come in?
I think that's definitely a possibility. We know at Richmond Raceway, you see cars generally running all over the place. There's a lot of grip in these cars, though, Kenneth, in the sim. A lot of horsepower, but a lot of grip nevertheless. And I think for now, that's why you see so many drivers running the bottom part of this racetrack. But as nighttime goes on, I think that could change.
We may see some of the higher lanes be used later on in the night, and you're right, a lot of downforce is presented here on this super late model despite the heap of power that you have underneath the hood. Here's a look on board from DJ Cummings in the 10, currently riding inside the top 10 for the moment, rather top 11. That's Nick Olsen, the last driver in the top 10. He's going to try to get around before they enter turn 1 and get into turn 2, but it looked like there was some contact plate into turn 1 between Nick Olsen and Raja Karuth about a lap ago. Karuth almost got completely spun, was able to save the car. They made contact again entering turn 3, and that's why you see Olsen, one of the playoff drivers in our field, beneath the cut line right now going into the first race of the playoffs, struggling early on and falling back as he tries to work against Gary Sexton in the 13.
There's a lot going on around here for this 9th position. We saw Olsen. He was kind of one of the first, at least up here at the front of the field, to really try and test out that middle lane here at Richmond. And you can see Gary Sexton doing a solid job of it. So our leaders are kind of running up front. They're at the bottom of the racetrack, but Gary Sexton doing a solid job of holding off right here in the middle. He's going to give way to Nick Olsen. But I think showing that middle lane, as far as defending, you can definitely keep your car up there and try to hold some drivers off. Nevertheless, Olsen goes forward and into that 9th position. Cabri, Vargas, Sora, Cabot, and Alfredo are your current top 5. And Jacob, in a race that I didn't know if it would look like this 17 laps in. Strung out, single file, everybody kind of running their own race right now. I know you hear a little bit of communication with the drivers. What are they saying so far?
Yeah, listening into David Schildhouse, he's just kind of been the guy that I've stuck to since he's been the most active over the voice, over his voice and over his stream, talking about, well, if there would be fast repairs, we would have wrecked by now, and everybody knows it. He's upset, thinking that there would have been a caution, saying that everybody on the racetrack's driving scared because they don't want to crash, they don't want to break their race car, and wind up watching the rest of this thing from the pit box. So we'll see how this plays out the rest of the way as far as drivers being scared to race around each other as you ride on board with the 51 of Corey Heim. I did talk with Ryan Vargas before the green flag tonight, and I asked, well, here we are again. You're on the outside looking in of the playoffs, 1 point out coming into this first race of the playoffs, and he said we're going to top 10 them to death. We're going to keep running consistent. He didn't have that consistency as of late, and he acknowledged that. Before Talladega, 3 straight finishes outside the top 10. Some really bad luck there. And he says as long as he plays smart and finish where he thinks he should, which is in the top 10, it'll work out. He's also running a special scheme tonight, painted by Davin Cornelius, honoring Ken Block. Not only did he want to run this scheme, his sponsor, Leargas Security, requested a Ken Block tribute car to be run tonight. He's not the only one. Presley Sora has a logo on his car, as well as Ronnie Osmer has a Ken Block tribute car as well on the racetrack. Blake?
Yeah, there's a lot of great paint schemes out there. And, of course, drive-through. David Cornelius does a great job making these race cars look tip-top as they can be. As you see that side-by-side battle now ending with Garrett Smithley, and Corey Heim continues his march forward through this field. He is now up to the 14th position. One car that's a little bit up the road from this battle is Colin Fern, and he is one driver, Eric, that has really been testing the waters. You talked about drivers moving around, kind of running the bottom, running the top side. Fern, especially here in 1 and 2, you can see the big run he gets down the back straightaway. He's kind of taking that wide arc through turn 1, bringing it up top and trying to get a really good drive off the corner. And right now, it's kind of brought him right up to this battle just on the outskirts of the top 10.
Yeah, watching him close up on that pack, he was diamonding the corner, which I always think is one of the hardest racing terms to say, diamonding, which you can open yourself up to trouble if someone gets to the inside of you, but when you're out in clean air and you're trying to reel in a pack, it works out great. So I've also been watching Corey Heim. He has pretty quickly cracked the top 15 after starting 30th after that mistake in qualifying. So he's right there in this mix as well.
There he is, and Corey Heim, he has just been so quick in that RaceEPI.com Toyota as he may look to try to make it 3 wide, and indeed he will into turn number 3. Fern shuts the door, drifts a little bit up the racetrack. You also got to throw Alex LeBay as a part of this fight, who has been, when you talk about top 10ing them to death, Kenneth, I know that was a quote from Ryan Vargas, but I feel like that's kind of been the approach for Alex LeBay so far in his Monday Night Racing career. He just always seems to hang around, have a chance there at the end, hasn't quite pulled through yet for a race win, but always is in contention, just hanging around on the outskirts of the top 10 just about every single race or combo we go to.
That set a good precedent. If you're this 36 of Alex LeBay, he's one of the many rookie drivers, Blake, in Season 6 of this Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. So to perform as well as LeBay has been over this season, it's definitely been impressive to watch the Canadian rip around every different type of combo and still find a way to be consistent enough to run in the top 10 and run in the top 5 at times. And you look on board with a driver who's a little more seasoned than Alex LeBay, Adam Cabot currently riding inside the top 4, catching up to your top 3. But a good example there, Blake, of just raw consistency by one of the newer drivers in this series. And sure enough, I know he's not in the playoffs this year, but maybe next season we could see a lot more spring out of Alex Abey in that 36 if he continues to run a car on the wall up the road. That is Gary Sexton. He's going to fall a lap down, Blake. Remember, he was inside the top 15. In fact, still in it. P13 right now. It's just how fast the leaders are working around this Richmond Raceway at the moment. Sexton with a little bit of trouble, smacked the outside wall, and here he is, one lap down on the racetrack, I believe.
One lap down, Chris Weaver and David Schildhouse, at least from what I'm showing, the only cars that are being scored one lap down. Looks like Gary Sexton slots himself in 15th right now, has lost a little bit of ground since we started this race, has been falling back and struggling a little bit, and it's been a tough week for Gary, Jacob, because last week you think Gary was right on the edge. He was in the playoffs when we were running at Talladega last week, looked to be in a great spot to transfer in that grid rival Dodge, and things just did not align late in that race. The late cautions when everything was strung out did not work in his favor, and unfortunately going to have to go through the next few races without a chance at winning a championship.
Yeah, and he was somebody that we thought would be another driver that would go back-to-back in the playoffs from last season to this season. He got in one of those final couple of spots a season ago and was in position to do it again, but with the catastrophe of those last 2 laps at Talladega, everything shuffled up, and Gary Sexton needed some drivers to fall out, and, well, he couldn't quite get that to happen, so he winds up on the outside looking in for the playoffs. Blake?
Up front, it is still Chase Cabry, who has led all 33 laps that have been completed so far tonight, or I guess 32, I should say now. We've completed 33 laps as he crosses the board into turn number 1. Got a little bit of lap traffic in front of him. You see Sage Karam, another newcomer here to Monday Night Racing, has been awfully solid and even won in his debut a little bit earlier on this season. You can see him on the right side of your screen right now, hard at work in that Alpha Prime Racing number 43 car, and has worked his way up into the top 10. One of the bigger movers in this race, aside from Corey Heim, who was just behind this battle now. So Heim has driven up from 30th to 11th, just behind the driver you're riding on board with right now.
And that tells you, Blake, just how fast Corey Heim is. Not only just on the short run, but on this long run, that 51 has not fallen off. And you watch here as he tucks up to the back bumper of Joey Padgett. He's looking to make this move. That is going to be a pivotal pass, an extra point loss for Padgett if he recedes this position from Corey Heim, a car up at the top of the racetrack. Looks like that is one of the lap cars in Steve Alfont, or rather Michael Massey there, running a paint scheme. There goes Corey Heim and Joey Padgett by, but you're right, Sage Karam there up ahead the road. I mean, they're all just looking for this 51, I believe, Blake, in the rearview mirror. They know how fast Heim is. They're going to try to play as much defense as possible. Frankly, it might not be enough as that 51 just continues to lap after lap, 22.647 the last time. Not exactly the fastest out of everybody ahead of him in the road, obviously, since he's been having to work his way through traffic, but you have to watch Heim at the moment, especially if he can continue to make his way up to the field.
Let's see if he can do that. Eric, I know you're kind of following along further back in the field, and I think that strategy of David Schildhouse, it works if there's a lot of attrition. Right now, there's not. And when you look at all the cars that are lapped down, Chase Cabry has lapped 4 cars. So David Schildhouse, we were talking about, he's kind of the only car lapped down in that free pass position. No longer for driver number 20.
Yeah, it was a bold strategy at the time. Currently, though, now I believe he is the 5th car 1 lap down, so no longer in that free pass position. And you look at the laps, they're ticking away quickly. We all expected this to, especially early on, be kind of an attrition battle. We talked to Matt Stallneck before the green flag. That's what he expected. But no, we're nearly a third of the way through this race, and aside from, ironically, that one light Stallneck spin, we haven't seen a whole lot. So this is trouble early on for one of our championship favorites, I think.
And one of those cars that is trying to stay on the lead lap right now is Case Collenbach. And Eric, I'd have to believe that you have to be a little privy to this paint scheme that's being run on this 84 right here. I mean, come on, it's got your face on it.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to toot my own horn. It does, in my opinion, look like one of the most attractive race cars to ever grace the high banks of Richmond Raceway. There we go. Look at that camera shot. Oh, yeah. My goodness. Yeah, that just reminds me that I need a haircut here in real life. A little too shaggy. Got to get back to that. But no, yeah, looking good out there. Keep it clean.
We'll see if he can keep that out-of-the-groove race car clean. Of course, Case Collenbach, the crew chief this past year for JD Motorsports, and that number 6 car that sported that out-of-the-groove paint scheme at Phoenix. I got to see that car up close and in person. It was a great-looking race car. Ryan Vargas did a great job driving it, but right now the 84 trying to hang on to the lead lap. Just a couple of car lengths right now, what is in front of your top 2, which includes Chase Cabry, but now includes Presley Sora. As you can see, Collenbach letting the leaders settle it amongst themselves, but Presley Sora, the last couple laps, been one of the fastest cars out on the racetrack.
And the same goes for Adam Cabot, who's riding in 3rd. He was inside the top 5, I believe, to start this race. Actually started, outside the top 5. He was in P7 to start, but moved his way up quickly to P4, then got away to P3 from Ryan Vargas, and slowly but surely he's been catching up to these top 2, so you better watch that 98 and the 17. Sora and Cabot, the previous 2 champions in Monday Night Racing competition, surely strutting out in this first race of the playoffs, and may just put the heat to Chase Cabry before this is all said and done. This is going to be good real estate, though, for Sora and Cabot, because you look up ahead the road, it's going to be a little while before they get to the next lap car in the mix, which is Ford Martin in the 07, currently running in P31. So this is going to be an opportunistic moment here for Sora, Blake, to be able to put in some good laps, not have to worry about traffic in the way, and just try to get around this 39 for the race lead.
He'll try to do that and lock himself into the round of 8 if things continue in his direction. But Jacob, I want to bring up a driver that we probably haven't talked about as much as we thought we would here in really Season 5 or Season 6, and that's Robbie Lyons right now. Started in 19th, running back in the 25th position. This is a former series champion. He won the championship in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series in Season 3. It has just not been a couple of seasons to write home about, though, recently for Robbie Lyons.
Yeah, he's really struggled a lot this year as far as putting together just complete races. There have been some tracks where he's been able to have some decent runs and then things fall apart toward the end, whether it's cautions, getting involved in wrecks, whatever it may be, and that takes him out of contention for a pretty decent finish. So Robbie Lyons in that too really, I think, has struggled a little bit. As you see a battle for the lead, here comes Sora to the bottom. He blows by Cabry after Cabry had been out front for most of this race. I heard some chatter from the Garrett Smithley camp about tires whenever they come onto pit road, because there hasn't been a ton of fall off here. We've run almost 50 laps now, and the leaders have only fallen off about a second. And most of that fall off was in the first, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 laps. Since then, it's been a really, really slow fall off for these race leaders. And that's why I think you're seeing them go at it right now. Still up here at the front of the field, Cabot and Vargas just kind of sit back and watch. But now drivers are starting to think about strategy. I think they were thinking we were going to see a lot of cautions. Hasn't been the story here for the first half of the race.
No, but we'll have to see who was prepared coming in, perhaps for these long runs, and whether we can. I don't know if these drivers, Jacob, when you talk about the super late models, we usually have a pretty good idea of what the fuel mileage is for the cars that we typically run here. With the super late model, you have a lot of horsepower. You're in the throttle a lot because of some of the grip that these cars have on the surface. I really don't know if we're in a position here where we're going to go about halfway on fuel. I think that's the case. But we don't really know, as we're nearly looking 4 wide for the race lead. They'll go 3 wide for second. Ryan Vargas is now up into the fray, as well as Adam Cabot, as Cabry and Sora have not been able to settle this battle amongst themselves. It's going to be a 4-car battle for the lead here off of turn number 4.
This is going to be big as Adam Cabot finds space and almost went for it entering turn 1. Blake, that could have been huge for the 17, who has really been picking up speed over the past couple laps for bringing in this quartet. And you've got mayhem. Sora still underneath Chase Cabry for the point position. And the 17 going to try and follow in the tracks on the bottom. What that is going to do, though, it should open the door for guys like Anthony Alfredo and maybe even like Roger Caruth. Both of them running single file behind this main pack up at the front. So you could see them chop off some lap time. And with these guys burning their equipment a little more, it could help their case. Sora finally clears for the race lead entering turn 3. And Cabot finally striking for second.
And Sora may do well here to try and make a little bit of a gap between he and second as they go side by side. You see Cabot on the bottom, Cabry on the top, and I think Chase Cabry has had enough. He lifts and he'll fall all the way back to fourth behind Ryan Vargas. But don't look now. Look at those couple of cars. They're a little bit behind this group. 3 cars, Anthony Alfredo, Raja Caruth, and Bailey Turner that have been kind of watching and I think seeing what they like up here as they've battled. They've slowed each other down. And perhaps Alfredo, Caruth, they've made up a lot of time recently. We talked about tire wear perhaps coming into play, and I think they're showing they have a lot of long run speed. If you're the 33, the 024 of Raja Caruth or Bailey Turner.
That's one thing you love to see as a race car driver, Blake, is just running your own race, setting your own rhythm, and then just watching everybody in front of you beat themselves to death, because while they're doing that, you're only continuing to gain time. And by the time we see this quartet for the moment, we may just see a quintuplet, we may see a sextuplet, we may see even more drivers get into this mix. Fortunately, they've all single filed out first through fourth. They've just chopped off all that time to Anthony Alfredo and Caruth, Turner, all those guys running single file at the moment. And Chase Cabry was able to find his way around Ryan Vargas for third, so at least he has stopped the bleeding. But that was a big move there, Blake, entering turn 1 about a lap and a half, maybe 2 laps ago, where he just let them go on the outside, said, all right, I cannot be willing to lose more time on this very top group. I'll stay back for now. And here comes Adam Cabot forcing his nose into turn 3. He's going to look for the lead coming into turn 1.
Your top 2 seeds side by side looking for the race lead here in the opening round of the Season 6 playoffs. And Cabot made an aggressive move into turn number 3 to get under Sora. Contact made there for second as Chase Cabry looked to prolong the bleeding there for Presley Sora. But Sora finds his way in second. So once again, change up front for the race lead. It is Adam Cabot, your Season 4 champion. Top 2 seeds, previous 2 champions here at Monday Night Racing, running 1-2 right now. Then you have Cabry, Vargas, and again, Anthony Alfredo continues to inch ever so closer to your top 4.
And I've looked at the laps, Blake, between your top 4 and everybody fifth on back. Cabot, of course, the fastest one out of that group with a 22.4. Now they cross the line, 22.5s across the board. So it evens out between the drivers first through fourth, through fifth and sixth. But there was almost a full 1/10 of a second difference in that lap, Blake, the last time through, just because they were battling that hard, losing all that time. And you have to imagine, if you're any of these guys in the top 4, are you willing to take the lead away with the risk of potentially losing all that track position with Anthony Alfredo, losing all that time with him, Caruth, and Turner on the way? Or do you just continue to battle and just say, why not? There's a pit stop on the way. We're going to have to go down anyway if it stays green. It looks like for the moment they're all going to stay single file and just letting themselves go. One car around sideways. That's Brandon Brown on the 12. And caution out for the first time tonight. Exit turn 4.
We were nearly about halfway through this race, Brandon Brown, and we were riding right along board as you saw it off of the hood. I believe it was Justin Melillo that we were riding on board with right there as he spun, or excuse me, it was Ford Martin. You're going to see off of turn number 2, Brandon Brown getting into turn 3, Stallneck's underneath, and Stallneck rises up the track, hits Brandon Brown, and a couple of innocent bystanders there. Justin Melillo coming short of yet another playoff appearance. Stephen Ellis involved in it as well. He was 1 lap down. And after all that, lap 62 was the count for caution number 1 of the night.
And you'd expect, Blake, a type of caution like that to come out sooner. There's a look on board with the 53 of Melillo, a hard hit to the right side of his super late model Ford Mustang, and right in front of the leaders, just almost merges back. We do have the drivers on pit road, though, so this is going to be the first big test of strategy, going to even them out all on the same page. You look at the 41, just a little bit of momentum in the apex of the corner. Just didn't have enough space to officially make himself known on the inside, and so gotten that contact with Brandon Brown. But Jacob, they are on pit road. Leaders are in. 4 tires, it looks like, for all of them.
Yeah, right side's up on the race leaders. They drop the jacks. They go over to the left sides go up. One car is already rolling off the pit lane. That's Joey Paget. Just a 15-second stop for him. Adam Cabot's going to win the race off pit road, though Paget did not have the track position up until this point. Paget was scored in the 10th position. He's going to gain a good amount of stops in his stall. Right side tires only for driver number 83. Everybody else taking foreign fuel.
And there was actually a crash getting onto pit road. Garrett Smithley and Reed Wilson, they were in 16th and 17th respectively. Oh, and it's because Steve Affont didn't know where his pit box was, got lost, turned across the entire pit lane, and Wilson and Smithley get wrapped up in it. And Smithley, you can see he's got a lot of damage on the nose of his race car. And again, no fast repairs. This is what's different about this race here this evening. They made the rule change after last week saying no more fast repairs, and there is the cost right there. Damage for Garrett Smithley of all places on pit road.
That's tough there for Smithley. Fortunately, I don't believe it's enough damage, though, to warrant him completely rendered out of this race. It is a short track as well, so you're not fully dependent on the aerodynamics of the race car. There's a look at Ryan Vargas, who is sped on pit road. So remember, Vargas running inside the top 4 for a majority of this evening's race, and now going to have to drop to the tail end of the longest line. So drama only continues, Blake, to ensue between multiple playoff drivers in this field, and that's going to hurt them largely here as we get closer to the second half of this race.
Running under caution for the first time here tonight. It comes at lap 62. We want to remind you that Interstate Batteries are built to top industry standards. Interstate Batteries has been the technician's choice for 9 years and counting. Powered by a distributor network of 300 wholesale warehouses and backed up by more than 150,000 dealers around the world, as well as 200 All Battery Center franchise stores, Interstate seeks to deliver the most trustworthy source of power to the world every single day. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable and proud partner on the Monday Night Racing Pro Series, presented by Interstate Batteries. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, Jacob Hitz, and Eric Estep on the call with you tonight from Richmond Raceway. And Eric, I think all things considered, this has been the best start to a race that we've had here in Season 6. So we're glad you're with us tonight. Maybe that's the cause of it.
It's been a wonderful action so far. I know they're about to go back green, but the chat was loving that 4-car under a blanket battle. Both Cito Brown and Noah Coleman were saying it reminds them of 2014 Spring Richmond in the NASCAR Cup Series. And then Racing Guy reminded us in the chat that Corey Heim got all the way up to 9th.
There's a crash on the front straightaway, Eric.
Oh, boy.
Seth Eggert just got turned around. He was way off the pace. I don't know if he was letting drivers by or what. And Corey Heim went to the apron to try and get by them, and he drop-kicked the 57 going into turn number 1. That also collects the 8 of Chris Wilner here. Sorry, Chris Weaver going into turn 1. You can see Heim's got to go. He's trying to get toward the front. He's in the back after his bad qualifying effort, got the wall. And he winds up taking care of Seth Eggert there down the front straightaway.
I was about to say, I would have been very impressed. Chris Wilner, our good friend who runs in Monday Night Racing after calling the Tulsa Shootout and the Chili Bowl that's going on right now, if he were able to make it out to M&R tonight, that would be very impressive. You can see right there, Matt Stolnick able to get by. Brandon Brown spun again on the back straightaway after this. But I'm kind of curious as to how Corey Heim, who had driven his way through the field, restarted in the back of the pack. I think maybe it was a black flag for him. Yes, it was. He sped on pit road as well as Ryan Vargas. So 2 heavy hitters, guys, sped on pit road. That's why Corey Heim was in the back of the field for that restart.
Yeah, that was tough there for both of them. And Vargas could have almost been involved in the incident as well, because he was about to shut the door on Heim, who had a huge run on the front straightaway, decided to back out of it, and then all of a sudden Seth Eggert was the one who got hit, and Heim ends up causing that incident there, and they stack up there on the outside wall. Good news for David Schildhouse, who's been a lap down, Blake, for a majority of tonight's race. Thought it was going to be an attrition-filled one, but now with some of the cautions now coming out, David Schildhouse getting that wave around from race control Josh Mendoza. So Schildhouse finally back in the game. We'll see what he can make of it once we get back on the next restart.
He gets back on the lead lap with roughly 80 laps, or exactly at 80 laps to go in this race, as we are under our second caution flag of the night right now, as it looks like it is the sun's starting to set here in turn 4. The track has cooled down 7 degrees in about 3 or 4 minutes. So this track is about to go through what I think is a pretty big change, considering that the temperature temperature has dropped that much, should be a lot more grip out there for these race cars. And, well, if you like the racing that you see right now, you ought to love the racing for the 5th annual Podium 500. Signups are still available. You can sign up today at podiumesports.com. You can run your next-gen car at Daytona and join us for one of the biggest events on iRacing every single year. Again, sign up for the 5th annual Podium 500 today at podiumesports.com. See if you can join the illustrious list of Podium 500 winners. Should be a great race, and we look forward to that. It'll be taking place on the same Sunday as the big game that afternoon, so you can take in some Podium 500 action as well as the big game a little bit later on that night. So should be a good time, but we look up front. Adam Cabot, Sora Padgett, Bailey Turner has worked his way up into the top 5, as well as Nick Olsen hanging around right there.
And Nick Olsen had a struggling start to begin as he rolled off P6 for this race. Kind of fell back to the field, had a little bit of drama and some contact with Raja Karuth, but finally back inside the top 5. We're still going to be rolling off in row number 3 here, so going to be pretty big here for the 24 if he can make himself known amongst the drivers who have been some of the best in this field, most notably Adam Cabot, Sora, Bailey Turner, rather not Bailey Turner, but the number 39 of Chase Carey here. But I mean, some different faces now with Bailey Turner, with Joey Padgett making some calls, going to be 3rd and 4th. We'll see how they play with the front row, but obviously everyone going to try to catch the 17, who Blake came off of that great win at Auto Club a couple of weeks back. A lot of momentum riding on the shoulders of the Season 4 champion. We'll see how he controls the field when we get back to green.
And he gets an early jump in the box. Green flag as we are nearly halfway through this race. Cabot gets a great jump. He'll be out by a couple of car lengths. Big move further on back in the field from Colin Fern. He makes it 3 wide as they get into turn number 1. And we got a spin. That is Leighton Sabile who goes around. And boy, the rest of the field is going to pile in. Will Rogers, your Season 2 champion, gets involved. But unscathed are a couple of cars. And cautions breed cautions as we get yellow flag number 3 of the evening after some contact with Colin Fern, Leighton Sabile, and I think even Raja Karuth may have been involved in that one as well.
Yeah, I think it was just a loss of real estate. Almost went about 3 wide, and in fact, they were coming out of turn 2. I don't think really everybody knew it. And the 24 just gets tagged by the 25 Sabile, and then by the time that happens, it runs out of space between the 25 and the 86 on the bottom of the racetrack. And that causes Sabile to get turned, obviously loses the race car. Then piling into the incident, Gary Sexton gets into the rear end of Will Rogers, and then the 55 Ronnie Osmer. There's a look from Ryan Vargas in the middle of this. Oh, and a huge hit there, and Osmer just goes up almost off of all 4s off the ground. And there's a bit of the front end damage on the 26 of Vargas. That may hurt his engine performance. We'll see what it looks like when he comes down pit road. They just stacked about a turn 2, and this, Blake, a typical track blocker. You see everybody pile up the track, they move all over the couple of lanes, and there's really nowhere to go.
Yeah, everything moving so quickly here at Richmond, especially because I think these drivers are starting to test the waters a little bit more when it comes to which groove you want to run. As, man, a nice job there for Corey Heim. Gets through unscathed on the high side of that wreck out of turn number 2. He's already back up to 21st after that speeding penalty put him at the rear end of the field. The out of the groove car, Case Collenbach, is back on the lead lap, so he'll get the free pass this time by. And Jacob, this is kind of more what a lot of these drivers anticipated coming in. Restarts, having to get a lot of spots, a little bit of attrition involved. We didn't see that. Everybody was pretty patient to start this race, but as we know, sometimes these drivers get a little confident, they get comfortable, and that makes them more aggressive than what we saw. We heard several drivers saying they were surprised by how tame it was at the beginning. Well, now that everybody had about 60 or 70 laps to figure things out, I think that aggression goes up, and I think you see the end result of it right here.
And it has to go up for some of those playoff guys that are no longer at the front of the field. Case A, Corey Heim, we saw that in the last caution. Case B, Ryan Vargas, stuck back there in the weeds after the speeding penalty, damage to the front end of his race car, roughly 50 seconds of optional damage. The problem is he can't get far enough ahead of the pace truck to fix a lot of the damage. Right side's up on that car now. He's down and away off pit lane, just barely getting out in front of the pace truck and staying on the lead lap. He's still got more than 20 seconds of damage to fix on the front end. That was the same issue that 78 of Garrett Smithley had before that last caution, that he was trying to get his damage fixed after the contact on pit road. That took him multiple cautions to get his damage fixed. That's the issue with it being a short track. Quick lap times, even under caution, so you either have to be with the field when you pit or not have a lot of damage if you want to stay on the lead lap.
Hearing the word from race control that it is Raja Karuth who is going to be tabbed with the cause of that yellow. He is running and pacing around here in 8th. But again, one of the new or one of the rules that I guess we're going back to here is if you were deemed at fault for the incident, you will be put at the tail end of the field. And that's exactly what is happening with Raja Karuth. So Karuth at the back of the field. And Eric, I got to hand it to you. You're the only driver who has picked somebody that has not been put at the tail end of the field at some point in this race. So congratulations.
I'll take it as long as I can get it. It helps that my pick has hung out in the top 3 or 4 all night so far. So if he can stay out there where the air is the cleanest, I'm feeling good. Feeling good about it. This is going to be another exciting restart coming up, Blake.
We'll see if he can get it done. Presley Sora restarts in 3rd behind Adam Cabot, your race leader, and a great launch once again for Adam Cabot out of the restart zone. No spun tires for car number 17. The Atlas Hair Product Chevrolet rockets to the front of the field, and we are back underway here at Richmond.
Leading your exit out of turn 2 this time. Bilo single file around your top 3, but Joey Padgett has a mirror full with a battle between